If you have a cat with suspected allergies, this video is going to be for you. We are going to break down what the causes of your cat's allergies might be and how you can solve it. Now let's get straight into it. The first thing I want you to do is acknowledge the fact that your cat is an obligate carnivore and that these days, maybe 95% of the cases we talk to about cats' allergies and anything wrong with their cats comes down to what their cats are eating. Now, the most common issue with cats these days is the commercially available foods that are presented to you, the consumer, and they are horrible choices for your cat in terms of nourishment. Now, your cat, as I said, is an obligate carnivore. This means that they do not require any carbohydrates whatsoever to thrive and survive. And the problem with most common cat foods is that they are full of rubbish. They are full of natural flavors. They are full of sugar and sugar derivatives, which is called cat crack in the industry, by the way. We have lots of cat foods with ground yellow corn, with rice, with meat and animal derivatives, with things that aren't really good or biologically appropriate for your cat. And if you give your dog maize, wheat, barley, ground yellow corn, etc., etc., those ingredients are impossible for your cat to digest. It's a bit like you eating something you cannot digest. If you give your cat something like this day in and day out for weeks and weeks on end, you are going to create all sorts of problems. Your cat's coat is not going to be as good. Your cat's stools aren't going to be good. Your cat is going to start suffering with hairballs and all sorts of diseases. Kidney disease, they're going to be chronically dehydrated from the sugar and the amount of carbohydrates you are feeding your cat, etc., etc. So what I want you to do is check your cat's food and every single treat you give your cat, and now turn them over. And whenever you turn them over, you do not want to see anything like natural flavors, wheat, barley, corn, soy, rice, yellow ground corn. We don't want to see anything too dubious or anything too vague. We don't want to see fish meal, and we don't want to see poultry byproducts, for example, or chicken byproducts. What we want to see is ingredient by ingredient what we are giving our cat. And if we see any of those ingredients, what I want you is to seek a better alternative. We want to aim for 100% meat in what we are giving our cat. If your cat were left to their own devices outdoors, they would catch small mammals, rats or whatever, and they would eat everything. They would eat the eyes, the tail, the hands, the beaks of the small birds, whatever the case might be. They would eat absolutely everything, the whole prey, and these would comprise of roughly 80% meat, 10% organs and liver and intestines, etc., etc., and then 10% would be the bone of the prey. And you should try to mimic, you should try to replicate what your cat would be eating in the wild if they were left to their own devices. Now, can you do this with any food? To a certain extent, yes, you can. You can pick the very best kibble you can get for your cat. You can get a really, really high quality kibble with minimal amounts of carbohydrates, which will be able to bind the kibble together. You can do this through wet food, and if you buy a really good wet food with 1 or 2 ingredients, you can buy phenomenal cat foods with literally just turkey and goose or mackerel and mussels or whatever, and they only contain 2 or 3 ingredients, and you will be able to pinpoint what you are giving your cat. If you give your cat ground yellow corn or natural flavors, we don't really know what protein your cat is getting, because natural flavors is quite vague, or poultry byproducts, that tends to be quite vague. But if I give my cat quail or sardines or mackerel, I know what I'm giving my cat. And if my cat has some sort of reaction, I will be able to identify the one-to-one correlation and causation of what my cat is eating. Now, in 95% of the cases, this is enough for you to have a much healthier cat. Your cat is going to be thriving. Your cat is going to be getting plenty of taurine, which is the essential amino acid your cat needs every time your cat needs to get pregnant, or their eyesight, the reflexes, what they need is taurine, which is an essential amino acid that is only rendered through fresh meat. Now, yes, certain manufacturers, or pretty much all of them, will include taurine on a synthetic basis, but it isn't the same as getting it from fresh food, from whole prey. So the fresher the food, the better. The same would be with fresh food, aka raw food. If your cat is happy with fresh food like mine, you are onto a winner. If your cat is naturally happy-go-lucky in terms of what food they consume, then that's going to be a winner. My cat is on raw food. He has only eaten meat since the day we adopted him, and he is absolutely thriving. He is incredible, and your cat should be too. But do not despair. If your cat is really fussy and really picky, you can transition them over a better food, whether that's kibble, wet food, or raw food over time. Be very, very patient and try to do things little by little, because at the end of the day, cats are really suspicious. Now, on to number 2. The second one is environmental, and this is going to be a bit of a touch and go for you. Some cats will be allergic to dust, to mites. Certain cats are going to be allergic to grass. Certain cats are going to be allergic to the environment. So you are going to have to keep an eye on potentially what could be triggering your cat's imbalances, allergies, or whatever the case might be, because it could very well be that your cat is allergic to certain bugs that are outside. It is rare, but it has happened. We have had cases of people that have come through our consultations and have been saying, hey, my cat is allergic to dust. What can I do? And then we can map out something that you can potentially do that will help your cat. And if you are curious about cat nutrition, you can download our cat feeding guide below. That will give you everything you need to know about cat nutrition. The third potential source of your cat's allergies or imbalances can be the breed. Now, if you happen to have one of these designer breeds, one of these breeds that has been tailored to look a very specific way, like a Sphinx, like one of these XL bully cats, then my opinion is that you are only asking for trouble. Why? Because those cats will have been bred to the extreme, to the point where you want a very, very specific look, and where the lines might have been really, really detached from what a cat should look like. Now, as with all cats, you should only be feeding them a biologically appropriate diet. Do not feed a Sphinx cat or an XL bully cat or any of these designer breeds a bad food. If you feed them a bad food, if you feed them something quite poor, especially if you have a delicate breed like a Maine Coon, for example, the best thing you can do is inform yourself on nutrition. Nutrition for cats is going to be paramount for you to understand and to see what's best for your cat. Now, the state of cat food all over the world is absolutely dismal. It's ridiculous. The amount of foods on the market that are subpar or that are horrible all around is staggering. The amount of cat foods on the market with sugar or with high glycemic carbohydrates or any carbohydrates whatsoever that your cat cannot digest it's immense. So it's going to take you certain sorting and filtering in order for you to know precisely what's good and what's bad for your cat. In my opinion, you should be able to have a certain level of traceability. Traceability is going to be your biggest asset. If you give your cat a very specific protein, say dry lamb and fresh mackerel, then that's going to be your best winner, the best course of action. What you need to do is pinpoint every single ingredient you give your cat, and that way, whenever we have something that aggravates our cat, we will be able to pinpoint the one-to-one correlation and causation of that particular food. If you go for a vague brand of cat food, then your guess is going to be as good as mine as to what you are giving your cat, and that is what we do not want to see in cat food. Now, as I said, if you want to truly know what to feed your cat, for them to excel, for them to do this correctly, for them to be able to thrive, and for you to save money and aggravation and worry, you should really download our cat nutrition guide. It will help you, and it will definitely save you hundreds of dollars at the vet. There are 3 main allergy sources for cats. One is food, the second one is environment, and the third one is breed specific. The first one, the food. There might be something that's causing your dog's gut to get really inflamed. And what gets cats inflamed? Any wheat, barley, corn, soy, or anything like that. Meat and animal derivatives or sugar. Second is going to be the environment. Any dust, any mites, whatever the case might be. They are rare, but they do happen. And the third one, if you have a cat that has been tailored to look in a very extreme way, and some of those cats are really hard to get down to being 100% healthy, but the symptoms might be mitigated. And if you are really attuned to cat nutrition and you want to know more, I highly encourage you to watch this video next.